everyone. Just want to make this video before I get started for the weekend. It's Friday, and I'm about ready to take a shower, wind down for the evening, and eventually go to bed, okay? I've been told that I'm not going to go to work on Monday because they're observing it as a holiday, so I have 3 days off. So I wanted to make this video about individualism and the difference between individualism and collectivism. Not these boots. They're flat, but they always make me look taller than I am, so I'm taking them off. Okay, so I'm an individualist. For people who don't know what an individualist is, it means that a person who basically stands on their own. Not in a way that means that they're antisocial, okay, or that they don't think that they should be a part of society in a way. People tend to be more collectivist. They like to form in groups. They like to associate with groups. They want to form decisions and make decisions in groups. And there's not anything really wrong with that, not necessarily. But then there's people like myself who believe that, you know, in order to, instead of being swayed by group thought, group think, herd mentality, or whatever, I base my views on things that are basically proven fact, or things that are going to make sense logically, okay? Now, that's not saying that other people aren't using logic and reason. It's just that I tend to think things through a little bit more. And people who are individualists don't necessarily want to be swayed by the majority, because just because the majority of people think so doesn't necessarily mean it's right. Such is the case in my gang stalking. Such is the case of all these accusations. Doesn't necessarily mean it's right. So also a lot of people think that if you are an individualist, that you don't want to associate with anybody, you don't want to have any friends, you don't want to have any relationships at all. That's not necessarily true, okay? I would say as an individualist, I'm a lot more selective than people who are more into collectivism. But, you know, I do realize that having people a part of your life is important. However, the difference is that, you know, when it comes to living my life, I'm not going to base my life dreams, goals, morals, dogma, anything based on the group just because it is acceptable within the group's viewpoint or their lifestyle, okay? So if it's not something that's really going to benefit me, or I see that it's not going to be of benefit, period, then there's really no point in me being a part of it. So I think a lot of people think that people who are individualists are just being rebellious, but that's not true. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm not saying I never broke the law when I was younger. I'm sure I did. Okay, you know, jaywalking, okay, is breaking the law. Okay, but what I'm saying is that I don't like to do things that are going to affect other people. Okay, so I take responsibility for myself. So if some people think that they can make a world difference by doing it in the group, I believe that, you know, change has to come from an individual. That's my personal philosophy. I believe that change, you know, contributing to the world, it has to be done on an individual basis, okay? Because you can talk a lot of smack, you can promote a lot of BS, you can sit there and talk about how people need to come together and be unified and whatever. But the fact of the matter is, people are never going to be, I don't believe people can really truly be progressive unless, of course, they're making individual steps to do that. So in my case, like for example, in this world, I realize that there is no one that you can rely on other than yourself, okay? So unless, of course, you might be part of a collective group right now, right? But let's just say, for example, something happened to where you fell out of favor with your group. What are you going to do? How will you stand on your own, okay? An individualist knows that they really only have themselves to rely on, whereas a person who's more used to doing things in a group will basically fall apart and will not know how to handle life if they find themselves on the outskirts, okay? Some people think that, you know, because you're an individualist, that means that you're antisocial. I am not antisocial. Antisocial and being asocial are two different things. Asocial is, I would say that I'm more comfortable by myself, meaning that I like to dine by myself. I like to do a lot of shopping by myself because I've become accustomed to that, okay? But when you're with a group, you know, you're more used to having to, you know, maybe you like Indian food and this person likes Greek food, so now you're stuck eating Greek food, okay? Which is something you don't particularly like, okay? But, you know, when you like somebody and you have things in common, then it's not really a compromise. So I tend to be more selective about who I choose to be with on a personal level. There's really nothing wrong with that, okay? But I think a lot of people, okay, But the difference between antisocial and asocial. Asocial is somebody who is comfortable being by themselves. Okay, they're relaxed. They're more at home doing things by themselves. And not to say that I wouldn't like to have a good friend to spend time with. Okay, that's asocial. Somebody who's content doing things on their own. Asocial. Okay, now antisocial behavior is when you are rebellious. Okay, like for example, you have no respect, no regard for anybody's property or anything that a person does. Okay, so you're the kind of person who sees nothing wrong with painting graffiti or whatever. And some people say, well, how is that antisocial? It is antisocial because you are showing that you have no regard for the social group or the society in general, okay, as a whole, okay? You have no regard for anybody other than yourself, okay? You don't respect society or anybody in it, okay? So you're just basically destructive. Antisocial means that's what it means. It's antisocial. Like you're not, you refuse to cooperate for the better of mankind, okay? Which that is not me, okay? Meaning I'm more comfortable doing things on my own. Now, if I had somebody I really meshed well with, then they'd come over and we would probably do each other's hair, our nails. We'd go shopping, do sewing projects and stuff like that together. Because I feel comfortable with that person. But, I can't feel comfortable with everybody. I think a lot of collectivists or people who are used to being around other people are, okay, I got some time. They're more used to, I notice that they tend to click quicker than other people. Like, they tend to bond and mesh well with people quicker. And I'm not like that, only because I'm fully aware that, people can be abusive at any time, okay? So because I've learned from my mistakes in the past of trusting people blindly, when I was younger, I realized that, people aren't as loving and kind as we would like them to be, okay? And that's learned behavior, okay? So I tend to be a little bit more reserved than some other people. Like, I've seen girls, like, at parties or stuff, and, like, they're talking, and the next thing you know, they're hugging, and they're like, then the party's getting ready to end, and they're, like, embracing each other, and, like, oh, I love you, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't get all that. I've had people do that to me, too, and I'm like, I don't really know how to respond to that. But, but my point is that, it takes me a while to feel comfortable with people because I don't consider people my friends unless, of course, there's been a tried and true situation, and then I could feel like I can be a little bit closer to them. And that's based on experience more so than anything else. I am an individualist, meaning that I don't follow fashion. I don't follow any group think unless, of course, I realize or I see some sort of benefit to it. Like, for example, fads. Let's just say, for example, there's a particular shoe, okay, and it's become fashionable. Everybody's wearing it, and, they're even promoting it. They're saying that there's health benefits to this shoe. Like, I have a lot of problems with my feet. My feet are very flat, okay? There's really no arch to them, so they're always in pain, especially during the summertime. So everybody's buying these shoes, and so I'm just like, okay, well, I don't like the way these shoes look. They look silly to me, whatever. I'm probably going to pass on that fad. But then if I see that people are buying them, and I realize that there's health benefits to it, and you can convince me that there's some benefit to it, then I'm more likely to do that, okay? But I'm not going to do something just because everybody does it, okay? That doesn't make any sense to me. Whereas a lot of people they're going to jump on that bandwagon. And then, fashion and style are two different things, and this is something I've always believed in, okay? I believe that people should have their own individual style, okay? Some people like an eclectic mix of different kinds of clothes, different styles. They get up in the morning, and I'm like that too. Like, I get up in the morning, and I might think of something, and I want to wear that outfit, okay? And I like a lot of old clothes too, okay? Some people, they just want what's in style. That's it. Anything that's not in style. And I know a lot of wealthy people who are like that. And so the minute, like, a fashion item is no longer hot, they want to get rid of that outfit and buy some new clothes. And that's their choice. Hey, if you can afford, that's wonderful, okay? But for people like myself, that's just not the way it is. So I prefer to have a particular style, things that look good on me or things that I'm comfortable with, okay? Fashion to me is kind of a waste of money, but like I said, to each his own. So people who are really into collectivists or people who are into, like, groupthink, they're more likely to follow fashion, whereas I'm not going to do that. I'm just not, okay? But that's not to say that I don't, if I see something like in a Vogue magazine or something, and I'm like, oh, that looks nice, I think that would look nice on me, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm not going to buy it, but I'm not going to buy it just because everybody's buying it. You see what I'm saying? There's a little difference there. So, I'm a strong believer in individualism. I don't believe it's something that everybody can be. I don't think everybody should be an individualist. I think that there's a natural balance on this earth. I think there are certain people who should be more within a group, and then there's certain people who should be off to the side. I think that's a part of nature, which I will go into in another video. But anyway, that's who I am, okay? And so I think a lot of people are afraid of individualism because they think you're just standing and you're standing in judgment of the world, and you don't have any regard for other people, and you're just doing that to be argumentative. Not at all. I am an individualist because I believe that it's the best for my well-being. I'm an individualist because my being an individual means that I understand that the true peace comes from within on an individual basis. So that means that this whole world can be chaotic. In this situation, you can look at this for yourself. Everything around me is chaotic, okay? But I am not putting out the chaos, okay? I'm the one who's holding in the peace. I'm doing it on myself. Me. I'm doing it. I'm contributing the peace, okay? Nobody else can do it. You can talk it all you want to. You can say whatever you want to. But unless you have peace on an individual basis, it's never going to go anywhere. It just isn't, okay? So a lot of people like to talk talk about peace and that sort of thing, but I believe that it's something that has to come from within on an individual basis. And if you don't have it in here, you can't expect it to go out of there. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.